Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's edition of Wild Wednesday webinar. I'm Paul Kiewicz, your host. I'm the Executive Director of MIPA, and these presentations are brought to you by several regional associations: MIPA, OPA, TISPA, PPA Chicago, PPAW, UMAP, PPA Midwest, the Arizona Promotional Professionals Association, and now joining us, RMR PPA and PMANC from Northern California. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on MIPA's Facebook page as well as our Wednesday webinar website page. On the left side of your screen, you'll find a chat box. If you have any questions for Tim today during the presentation, you can type those in as he's speaking. If it warrants me interrupting him, I'll jump in. Otherwise, we'll be having a question and answer period at the end of today's session. Also, at the end of today's session, as you log out and end the meeting, you'll be brought to a survey form. If you'll fill in your PPAI PIN number or your ASI number, you can get credit for CAS credits or BASI or MASI credits for today's webinar. Like also to have you mark a date in your calendar, January 25th, we begin the 2017 editions of Wild Wednesday webinar with how to sell uniform programs. Basically, how to sell apparel to the apparel industry. It's going to be brought to you by Edwards Garment Company. John Gibson is going to be presenting it. And we've got a great lineup for 2017, including Charity Gibson, how to market to millennials, Bill Petrie, Cliff Quicksell. We're going to have a presentation and teach you how to tweet like Donald. We'll have Ann Stone on product safety, selling food programs, Kirby Hasseman, Quality Certification Alliance, and much, much more. So we've got an exciting lineup. I better get going here because I'm really honored to have as our guest today the President and Chief Executive Officer of ASI, Timothy Andrews. Tim is the CEO of the Advertising Special Institute, serving a huge network of over 23,000 distributors and decorators in our industry. He's also the president of ASI Show family of events. He's active in several community organizations. He's also a graduate of Ball State University, and he's been inducted into that institution's Journalism Hall of Fame. He's been named an outstanding alumnus and all-around great guy. Anybody who knows Tim knows he's a straight shooter and has our industry, knows our industry probably as well or better than almost anyone. So, Tim, I'm going to let you take it away from here. I'm going to put myself on mute and just kind of hang back. Take it away, Tim.
Well, Paul, thank you so much. That was such a nice intro, and I would say that I really consider Paul a friend, and I think that everyone who's on the line today and involved in an association that Paul's involved in is really benefiting from one of the greats in the industry. So I really count Paul as one of my close friends in the industry. So thanks very much for inviting me today, and I'm happy to participate in the Wild Wednesday webinar. I wish it was a little bit warmer where I am outside Philadelphia, and I know that where Paul is, he's got a couple of feet of snow on the ground. So I hope some of you in Arizona are at least having a little bit of a warmer day, so it's like a warm, wild Wednesday for you guys. I think this is a great way to bring industry members from throughout the Midwest and from Arizona, Colorado, California as well together. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about ASI and some of the upcoming education initiatives and share some recent industry trends and sales figures, along with highlights from our recent ASI Power Summit, which is down in Florida. First, probably everyone on the call knows ASI or thinks they know ASI, but let me just tell you a little bit about us because you might have a few surprises in here in terms of some facts. First of all, ASI is been family owned by the Cohn family since 1962. We're based outside of Philadelphia in a little town called Trevose, Pennsylvania, and we really have over the last 5 decades become a trusted partner of the promotional products industry. We bring together, as Paul said, 23,000 distributors and suppliers and decorators, and those companies are in 61 countries. We're not just a North American organization. We're really across the globe. We have about 400 employees dedicated to the industry and serving the industry. Our goal is to encourage growth and innovation in the industry. And we do that by providing the industry with technology platforms, with education, events, across the country, research information and data, news content, and also business connections, networking at our trade shows, at our hosted buyer events, and online in our chat rooms are all really important parts of what ASI do. And really our goal is to make sure everyone is as informed and as inspired and as productive and as successful as they possibly can be. Let's start out with some really good news about the industry. Distributors have reported to us that their annual sales have increased in 2015 about 3.4%, got us to a $22.2 billion number as measured by distributor sales. That was an all-time high in 2015 for distributor revenue. The good news is we're on track to set another industry record for 2016. ASI does surveying all through the year, and based on our current estimates, we think total sales for the year for distributors are going to be up between 2 and 3% over 2015 for a total of about $23 billion. And what I would urge distributors on the line to think about is how do you benchmark yourself against these sort of general numbers? So if the industry in 2015 was up about 3.5%, how were you doing? Were you doing better than the industry or not quite as well? And in 2016, as you look at your numbers as we get close to the end of the year, if the industry is going to be up between 2 and 3%, how did you do in the year? And that's really, that benchmarking data is something that we really try to provide in lots of different venues, and I think is really important for the industry. You know, how do you measure yourself? Obviously, we have a lot of smaller entrepreneurial businesses. It's harder for them to get public information about what their peer and other companies are doing, and we try to provide information you can, sort of measure yourself against. What's driven 2016? One of the key things for the year, of course, was the elections. 2016 sales were definitely impacted by the federal election, and in fact might have helped elect Donald Trump. ASI's review of campaign finance reports, which we tracked all year, showed that Trump spent nearly 5 times as much as Clinton on promotional merchandise to woo voters, advertise his candidacy. And all told, Trump spent about $11.5 million on campaign merchandise, setting a record for promotional product spending by a presidential candidate. So this is a big watermark in our industry. Overall, though, even though we had a strong 15 and a strong 16 in terms of growth and growing, a little bit above the overall economy, industry growth has been slowing compared to 2015 as we have been through 16, and 15 was a little slower than 14. So we're coming into a situation where I think we're going to see things softening a little bit or stabilizing at sort of that low single-digit number, and I'll get to what that means for the industry in a second. And so, what does that mean? Is that a speed bump, a roadblock? What would we call that? Well, here are some possible factors as we look ahead for the world economy, and this is drawn from both our own surveys of members and what people believe who are really in most of the senior jobs in the industry, but also a broader view of what's going on in the overall economy. First of all, the Federal Reserve has been waffling over interest rates and what's going on in interest rates, and obviously higher interest rates make it more expensive to finance a business, and so that's something of concern as we go forward into the 17-18 timeframe. Great Britain voted to leave the EU, which really sent world markets in a tumble. Economists sort of wondering about what's going to happen with international trade and monetary policy. So as I talk to people in Europe, in the industry, they're quite concerned about what that untanglement of Great Britain from the EU is going to mean. And then, of course, we just left months of uncertainty during the presidential election, and a lot of uncertainty as well going into the Trump administration, with questions about what the impact on future trade with China might be. For instance, one of his first phone calls was to Taiwan, which really upset the Chinese. When he was running for office, he talked about a 40% tariff on anything coming from China. Whether any of that really comes to be, is going to be something we'll see in the future. But, from an industry perspective, not a political perspective, we have to think about what the impact on some of these things could be on the huge, vast supply chain we all depend on in our industry, but also a range of products like iPhones, auto parts. But for us, promotional products are the thing that we really are concerned about, and what all of those discussions might mean for the industry. As always, ASI will continue to follow this and post breaking economic and industry news to our website, which, by the way, if you haven't looked at it lately, we just revised it this year. It's www.asicentral.com. Again, www.asicentral.com. Lots of breaking news and other kinds of information that might be useful to you in your daily business. Now let's shift to some of the things we heard about at this year's ASI Power Summit, which we just wrapped up down in Miami. This was the 10th anniversary of the ASI Power Summit. We discussed with about 200 of the most powerful people in the industry a wide variety of issues that impact our industry in 2015 and what the outlook is for 16, 17, and beyond. And while we continue to bring together industry partners, distributors, and suppliers at our 3 large trade shows every year in Orlando, Dallas, and Chicago, we also host a number of more intimate networking events like the Power Summit, which attracts these industry leaders. And Paul mentioned in the intro he's going to teach you how to tweet like Donald in a few months. Well, we actually had, believe it or not, Donald Trump was actually at the Power Summit through a video. We happened to be at a Trump property, which we had reserved 18 months before the election. We certainly wouldn't have wanted to be at a Trump property or a Clinton property, for that matter, if they had hotels, because we don't endorse any political candidates. We even had Donald Trump there just a couple of days before the election, who taped a greeting for our attendees. Overall, the Power Summit is a great opportunity to meet new people from every sort of level and corner of the industry, and we really try to introduce there some trends that impact all of us, either today or, more importantly, trends that people need to get ahead of 2 or 3 years from now, and that's really what we try to do. Let's talk just a little bit about a couple of those trends. One is virtual reality. We had a big virtual reality demo room at the Power Summit, big hit, 4 different virtual reality experiences to show off many different applications of new technology. And, you might ask yourself, why does virtual reality matter to me? I sell promotional products, or I supply promotional products. Well, I think you've probably seen TV commercials this year touting these VR products from Amazon. It's Christmas gifts. But beyond the gimmick, here's a couple of facts. One, Goldman Sachs says that VR products, software and hardware, total sales are going to reach upward of $80 billion by 2025, $80 billion by 2025. And marketing and advertising executives are telling us that they're looking to virtual reality to create some engaging, exciting customer experiences. And promotional products obviously are a way to help create and cement and reinforce a customer experience. Here's just a few examples of people that, or ways that people talked about this. There's a company that's developing some holograms that allow a person in a hologram form to work a trade show booth, explaining companies and services with a live person standing by to answer questions. There's a number of tech-infused wearables, so wearable hand-free devices that respond to pre-programmed audio commands, take hands-free pictures, etc. Many of us remember Rosie the Robot from the Jetsons. Well, companies are starting to use virtual reality and robots to create a more personal brand interaction for consumers. And so as we think about promotional products, the question is, will distributors be selling the VR device? Who creates the content? But as the price of virtual reality drops, we really think that our industry needs to watch this, because we know that 10 or 15 years ago, USB drives were something that was a little mysterious and very expensive, and we didn't really know how content was going to get created and get on a USB drive. And it became very quickly one of the largest categories in our industry. So we just think we need to be watching as an industry for virtual reality. What are the opportunities there to make money? How do we reinforce messages? So when we have a client talking about virtual reality or they're trying to create something, how can we help them create that experience? In addition to a virtual reality speaker we had at the Power Summit, we also had a couple of other really important speakers. One was the NFL Chief Marketing Officer, Dawn Hudson, who spoke about what she was really inspiring, by the way, really inspiring. She talked about the joy of giving someone a shirt branded with an NFL logo team and said, and this is a quote, which I really thought captured what our industry does, "It's a revelation, the power of a T-shirt. It connects people to what they love and provides lasting memories." So for her and her discussion, it was not about the game alone. It wasn't about the stadium. It wasn't about any piece of this, and it wasn't just about promotional products. She said over and over and over again how promotional products create a lasting memory for someone about the team that they love or about the experience they had with their children at a game. And she really told our audience that we need to be thinking about how what we are creating are memories and impressions and experiences for people, and we cut ourselves short and we count ourselves short if we focus on the fact that it's just, quote, just a promotional product. Like a lot of million-dollar organizations, the NFL depends on promotional products to spread its message and that of its teams. She's a big fan, which is why we had her. Other speakers were Chuck Fandos, who is the ASI Person of the Year this year, and he shared some of his insights as a distributor and as a technologist. And then Cam Dibba, who talked about virtual reality. So in addition to what Dawn said about that, she also talked about how the NFL approaches their merchandising, and she said they approach merchandise as a tool to help create this lasting memory of the football experience, and talked about some of the different kinds of memorabilia, footballs, helmets, etc. And here is sort of a quote. She said, she looked at the audience and said, "You are not in the trinkets and trash business. You're in the treasures and experiences business." And while some people sort of leaned back in their chair when they heard the first part of this, I think the second part was a point for people to lean in and really think about the fact that we're in the treasures and experiences business, and we should be very proud of that. Position yourselves to clients, it's helping create this lasting and valuable memory that people can't get through a fleeting selfie or a quick video, or if they're an advertiser, they can't get that experience on a billboard or in a digital ad. This is about an experience and something that they hold. A promotional product is probably one of the only advertising pieces that someone receives and they thank you for it. And I think that's really something that we need to be thinking about. Another panel at the Power Summit focused on millennials and their $200 billion in spending power, and that is an incredible amount of spending power. The first thing we learned from our millennial panelists was don't call them millennials, by the way. So they're tired of it. They think that it's demeaning. They don't like the name. They are just people. So they suggested that this millennial kind of wording suggested that they're sort of lazy, that they're self-absorbed, that they're entitled, which isn't the case with young people in our industry I've met, for sure. And we've got a lot of people in our industry under 30 that were at the Power Summit who really prize being entrepreneurs, just like all of you or many of you on the call. At the panel, we also learned that the way younger buyers are buying promotional items suggests really a drastic change from the industry's usual face-to-face way of doing business. For instance, lots of younger distributors have never even met their clients in person or even spoken to them on the telephone. They sort of prefer to meet through social media, communicate entirely through email, chat, texting, social media, whatever their choice might be. And to them, it's really a more efficient way of doing business. So if you're falling behind, on your social media efforts, maybe one of your New Year's resolutions might be to get up to speed. I think something really to think about in all that is we have to ask our customers and our prospects, how do you want me to communicate with you? And then as a distributor, as a supplier, we have to do what our customer asks us. And we can't just sit back, and I've heard distributors and suppliers say, oh my gosh, my customer doesn't want to meet me. I like to meet people for lunch. It's the way I like to do business. I don't like to do it through email. I don't like to do it only through chat. All this sort of discussion. You know what? It doesn't really matter what I, as an employee at ASI, wants to do, or what a distributor wants to do, or what a supplier wants to do. What matters is how does my customer, my prospect, want to interact with me, and I have to make myself react and be informed and integrated into what they want, not what I want. I think often we get caught up in trying to get other people to do it the way we want to do it, and in fact, if they're our customer, if they're our prospect, we've got to adopt and adapt to their way of communicating and doing business. One of the other things that we talked about was, what do younger buyers sort of want? And we heard from our panel that younger buyers really crave three things. They crave authenticity in the buying experience. They want to really know what's happening. They want to know that this is an authentic experience, that it's an authentic product. They want promotional products that tell a story or use humor. And they also want quality items that are created just for them. So that can be through personalization or through a fit that matters, or through a type of product that really works for them because it feels like it's created just for them because it's got the right kind of embroidery or decoration, it's the right kind of product, it's the right kind of fit, and it's in the right moment in time. So make sure you tap into this growing sort of $200 billion spending pattern demographic in another way, which is to hire and recruit more young and diverse staffers. Learn to take selfies and learn how to do social media for sure, but really expose yourself. And one of the really great ways, I think, to do that across not only the millennials, but is sort of look at ourselves and say, how diverse are we? And are we as diverse as the customers we serve? Are we as diverse as the customers we seek to serve? Which company do you look like? The company in the upper left-hand corner, or do you look like the company in the lower right-hand corner? I can't see any of you on here, but I'm guessing that many of you are white. Many of you are probably male. probably a good number of you are over 50. In this sort of wilder and wider world that we live in our country, it's really changing fast. We need to reflect those changes in our industry. And we're trying to help at ASI. We're trying to encourage people to hire more diverse sales reps to change the demographic of our industry, both in terms of racial characteristics, but really everything, including age. One of the things that I would urge all of you to think about on the phone doing is hiring interns. This past summer, we launched a new industry program that ASI underwrote to hire summer interns. We offered to any distributor, any supplier, the ability to hire an intern in their company. They would pay the intern, but we would do lots of things to help that intern. And so that really was beneficial. We had a series of online education they could take. One of the things I've heard people say to me is, I don't hire interns because it takes them too long to get up to speed. Well, we put in place a number of courses they could take online that in just a few hours, the intern would get up to speed on the industry and how it operates and who distributors are and what they do and suppliers and what they do. We had in total 108 millennials that took part in the program, working at about 70 different participating companies, including Proforma, Embroid Me, Minuteman Express. Really great ways to learn about the industry and bring and infuse people into your organization that can help you. We're going to continue that program next year. We're really excited about it. We also gave all these millennials access to ESP for free, other kinds of products and services. So we underwrote that, and then we also gave away scholarships at the end of the summer to some of the deserving talent that we had there. So think about that as we go into next year. Interns are cost effective. They infuse you with new ideas and new ways of looking at things, and you can give them a project like creating a social media presence for yourself or helping you understand social media or updating your website or your Facebook. They can do things for you that maybe you can't always do for yourself, and you can learn from them. Another one of our speakers at the Power Summit was Chuck Fandos. I've known Chuck for a number of years, and he's just a great guy. He's the CEO of Brand Addition and the 2016 Counselor Person of the Year. He pointed out in an interview that a lot of people have made pretty good livelihood selling promotional products, and it's a great option for young people out of college. So getting back to my internship point. And then when he was asked about the future of the industry, well, some people, I think, as we have been in the industry a long time, we might have different viewpoints, but Chuck said he's actually more optimistic today than he was previously about the industry. Chuck's point was that people are always going to want and need promotional items to brand themselves and their events and their companies, especially in new and growing markets that we couldn't even envision 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, Uber didn't exist, Airbnb didn't exist. So for Fandos, these growing markets were ones that he thinks are areas that make it much more exciting to be in the industry than it was 5 or 10 years ago. Chuck sold his business, Gateway CDI, to Brand Addition earlier this year. Brand Addition, by the way, is the largest distributor in the UK. And Chuck also encouraged ASI Power attendees, that were in the audience to embrace a global promo market as a place to find new business. One of the reasons I think he sold his business was because he really sees the industry as growing on a global scale. He talked about how people should be partnering for mutual success with other companies, whether it's a distributor partnering with a supplier to go into to a client, or a supplier seeking out other partners like decorators that they can do business with and provide sort of a one-stop shop. And also Chuck pointed out the technology has made it much easier to do business efficiently and effectively from really almost anywhere you are around the world. So it's really important to learn about these emerging markets and emerging trends so you can see whether you can bring new ideas to your business. So there's much more opportunity out there for people who not only think out of the box but also are outside our borders. So Chuck's point was you really need to get out and about, see what you can learn from other countries and other promotional products professionals around the world, whether it's by reading stories on ASICentral.com about those businesses or whether it's trying to actually visit those businesses and their trade shows. Lots more information from the Power Summit on ASICentral.com from our coverage. But before I move on, I should remind you that anyone can attend the Power Summit next year. It takes place in October in San Diego. Registration's open on our website. And it's late October in right outside San Diego. So, certainly take a look at ASICentral.com/events if you're interested in attending. We welcome anybody to be there. Now I'd like to offer some tips we've developed from our recent State of the Industry report, which appears in Counselor Magazine, and from some industry experts featured in ASI's 4 trade magazines available both online and in print over the course of the last few months. So here's some trends from our magazines. First, seizing technology and e-commerce. Technology is a given. E-commerce is increasingly a must. Back-end analytics are essential so that you know what people are doing on your website or in any kind of form of interaction you've got on a technical basis. I think that our industry population, because of its aging, is preventing many from embracing new technology. But no matter what age you are, you've really got to think about new ways of managing your business and new systems to get customers and prospects. Certainly ASI's ESP technology can be part of that solution, but early adoption of best practices is really smart. Don't leave e-commerce or technical improvements to newcomers. For them, it's second nature. For you, you've got to really adopt those best practices because they're really important, and you can't leave technology alone. It is too vital to everything that we all do. Unfortunately, not everybody is on the boat with that. For the 5 largest companies in the world by market cap are tech companies, yet some companies still conduct in our industry business by fax. Both distributors and suppliers need to get better at taking sort of more of an Amazon-like approach. If a customer buys this product and they like that product with automated results, how does that work? There's a reason that dinosaurs became extinct millions of years ago. Many people in the industry, I think, do business like they did 40 years ago, and they really have to be thinking differently. That said, personal touch and knowing your customer can mean different things to different people. It's still really important, but just because you become e-commerce enabled doesn't mean you necessarily lose the personal touch. It means that you're using all the tools that people expect to be able to drive your business and serve your customers. It's really about doing business, what we call at the speed of now. Ever since the microwave was invented and we could get a baked potato in 5 minutes or a little popcorn in a few versus maybe an hour, we all want things really fast, whether it's frankly a reasonable expectation or not. But as these millennials enter the workforce in greater numbers, the lead times they expect are going to just really evaporate, and they're already evaporating. Demand for really fast turnaround, which I hear people in the industry complain about. Oh my gosh, they want something in 3 days, or my customer wants something in 4 days, or a supplier saying a distributor expects something turned around in 24 hours. Well, you know what, folks? That's the way it is. Right now, a third of the products require a turnaround time in 5 days or less, and that's going to increase. Younger people don't see this as a rush order. They don't see it as something they should pay extra for. They see it as the norm. They are used to instant gratification. Distributors and certainly suppliers have got to start offering, in the course of a very short period of time, the next 2 or 3 years, 48-hour turnaround and delivery is going to be standard. And we've got to figure out how we help suppliers do that more effectively and how distributors do that, because when people see a product online or at retail, they want it now. They want it with an imprint. They want no excuses. They don't want to have to pay a huge differential for that speed. They're not going to be willing to. And I understand that some people may not love this message. However, it to me is the message that's got to be out there. And I would say, let's think about, we're sort of in a holiday season. We just came out of the fall. Let's think about the last time that you ordered from Amazon. If I were on my phone right now and clicked a button and bought 48 rolls of Bounty paper towel, I would get a confirmation email almost as soon as I placed my order, followed by a tracking number as soon as it shipped out of the warehouse. That's for rolls of Bounty paper towel. And honestly, you're all thinking to yourself, gosh, he's kind of crazy. But you know what? Think about the last time you ordered from Amazon or one of these big online providers. If you didn't get an email confirmation within about a minute or two, you'd think something went wrong. If you didn't get the tracking number for the UPS or for the FedEx, you'd wonder what the company that you bought from was thinking about. Well, that's what our buyers are thinking too. So that's what clients are used to. We've got to be as responsive as possible and as quick as possible. Remember when we used to go to the Exxon station or whatever and got our windshield cleaned? Well, not only they pumped your gas for you, they washed your windows, and you really appreciate it. We've also all got to be thinking about how do we step up our service? How do we provide full service to keep our customers happy and keep them coming back, especially if you're a small shop competing with more sophisticated operations? Really important. Think about what you're doing to differentiate yourself and your service from anybody else in the industry and in the industry outside. We don't want our customers and our prospects to be buying from someone else or outside our industry because they can't figure out how to do business with us or they're disappointed. So that's really very important. And I think part of that is making sure that we're training our salespeople and using the latest technology, including training inside staff on using ESP Web as a platform, for instance, not just search engine, but whatever you're using. For your salespeople and your staff, you've got to train them how to use the tools they have, whether it's ESP for search, how to create a proposal, how to do a purchase order most efficiently, how to invoice, how to look up inventory and purchase history, how do we reduce those transaction costs, increase efficiencies, and train your team, every single one of them, to be able to do that. And investing in tools now to make your business more valuable, not just to aggregate more sales, but actually be able to drive the value of your business. I mentioned Counselor State of the Industry a couple of minutes ago. This is an annual issue of Counselor Magazine, and I wanted to share with you some solutions to some of these problems that were mentioned. By the way, this is from the 2016 State of the Industry report. It's available online, so if you go to asicentral.com, there's a tab there for editorial and news, and you'll be able to see immediately, if you click on the news tab, this entire report, and you'll be able to read it right online. Lots of information about the solutions to all of our challenges. But here's the bottom line. Distributors must be far more than just a purveyor and a seller of promotional products. All of our data from this year's State of the Industry report, which backs up prior years, is that distributors derive an average of last year, about 60% of their annual revenue from promotional products. In 2008, we did that same question every year. In 2008, that was 70%. So now distributors say about 60% of the revenue comes from promotional products. There's lots of work going on among distributors to diversify their business to meet these sort of expanding needs of clients, and that's really important. We're not just about products anymore. We're about lots more. And it's also not about the lowest price. It's about offering solutions, creating whole campaigns for a marketing activity. It's about solving problems for clients. That means that you all need to be ready to execute campaigns that really involve company stores, fulfillment potentially, graphic design, social media, data management. Companies really want to work with distributors that help them achieve results, whether that's increased sales, new office traffic, booth traffic in their own trade show booth, employee retention, better morale, a combination of all those things. It's really important that we be able to develop, products into these solutions. So we take the promotional product and how do we solve this big solution problem? And that really separates, I think, the great sales reps from more mediocre account executives. And by the way, I'm not just saying that we, make this really an easy leap. Lots of education at our trade shows, online. This is really a process for distributors to go through. So don't just suggest a laptop bag, for somebody that says they want a laptop bag. Take it a step further. A bag program with a microchip that can be tracked if it's lost. That's real functionality, and that's the kind of things that our industry now can do. And also use every possible vehicle you can imagine to advertise yourself and to reach out to people. Facebook, texting, LinkedIn, Instagram. Instagram has now over 500 million users. Do you have an Instagram page where you're posting photos of really hot new products? So I think that's all really important. And in fact, I've seen a number of distributors that are setting up these different kinds of things, and they're actually going to our trade shows, and they're taking photos of their favorite products and posting them live on their Facebook page, on LinkedIn, in Instagram, so that their clients and prospects can log into Instagram and see a live feed of all the different hot products that are coming out of the trade show that the distributor might be at, which I think is a great trend. So, what's this wow factor? Just another couple of examples. You need to learn about these industry trends and how to use them for your own business. I'll give you an example here. So at the 2016 Counselor Awards at our show in Chicago, it was history-making on a couple of fronts. One, we broke an attendance record by having over 500 people at this black tie event. They were posting selfies and other pictures throughout the day, driving people to the ceremony. And at the ceremony, we were really excited with lots of people taking photos and posting them all around. But here's a first. We posted a ton of acceptance speeches from that ASI event, the Counselor Awards, via live feeds on ASI's Facebook page. And I just want to give you one snippet of an example. Live streams on Facebook cost nothing. You're basically a walking TV station. Okay, you log into Facebook. You say you want to create a live stream. We did this at the Power Summit at the Counselor Awards. And just as one example, Dave Saraceno, who was receiving the Marvin Spike Lifetime Achievement Award. Dave works at BIC and has been in the industry for a very long time. We videotaped his acceptance speech online that night, and by morning, it already had 1,200 views. 1,200 views on Facebook on the ASI page. and 12 people had shared that to their own pages. So think about how you can use that very free live video feed to generate activity on your own Facebook page and push things out to your clients. Think about walking around a trade show floor and filming 4 or 5 suppliers talking about their favorite products that are your favorite products, and then posting that live on your Facebook feed. Just one example, but how we can use this technology. It's cheap, it's easy to use, and there's no excuse really not to be harnessing that. In addition to technology, of course, there's looking out for markets that are growing. Our magazines are always chock full of all sorts of emerging trends, like the growing legal and medicinal use of marijuana in the marijuana industry. ASI's Advantages magazine just did a regional sales report, state-by-state review of promotional product growth, every single state. Plus, we did regional breakdown charts showing growing industries, forecasts from distributors, suppliers, end buyers, case studies, demographic shifts, and hot new products. Again, that's available on the ASI Central website. Just a couple of facts from that. Western sales in 2015 were up big. Sales of promotional products in Colorado were up nearly 10% in 2015, increasing at a faster rate than in any other state, fueled really in large part by this huge legal marijuana industry that's going on in Colorado, and that's why Colorado was up so much. And in fact, 2016 sales in the West, and especially in Colorado, are on track to do even better. Here's some other really good news about this. Colorado, many of you will remember the pharmaceutical industry a few years ago saying that pharma companies couldn't use promotional products. Well, in Colorado, we've got a great alternative to that, and just the opposite. Colorado has strict regulations on what marijuana dispensaries can use for marketing. They can't really use TV. They can't use radio, internet, outdoor advertising. What are they using? They're using promotional products. Promotional product advertising and use of promotional products by these medicinal marijuana industry outlets is legal and is really driving millions and millions of dollars worth of promotional product sales in Colorado. It's not restricted. So that's another growing market. By the way, that's not an endorsement either way. It's a legal activity, and we're just trying to share with people ways that they need to look at markets that are emerging and perhaps, if it works for them, take advantage of those things. So meeting this branded merchandise need in that industry is a really huge growing market, and we've got lots of clients that are doing that. But it's not just about legal marijuana in Colorado. The elderly population is growing. Medical cannabis, in fact, in Florida, the nation's 3rd most popular state, is opening up, we think, according to what's going on down in Florida. So another potential big cash flow, but also sort of this aging population, which is the point of this. In addition to the point about Colorado, the population is aging. So that's another big demographic, identifying businesses that want to do business with an elderly aging population and promotional products that are appropriate to that population. I mentioned earlier we do a lot of research at ASI, and in fact, one of our most popular research activities is the Global Advertising Specialties Impression Study. It helps people in our industry prove the return on investment from use of promotional products. It's available at asicentral.com/research. So if you go to asicentral.com/research, so this is a sort of a different shift. This is about industry research that we conduct to help you and your salespeople convince potential clients and existing clients about the value of promotional products. So what's that return on investment? A little background on the study. The Global Advertising Impression Study, it's about 100,000 consumers polled across the world as to what motivates them to buy, use, and save promotional products. So what promotional products do they like? What do they do with them once they get them? And do they value them? There's incredible amounts of research on a state-by-state basis. And for the first time, we looked at the most influential products by state for all 50 states, and then we determined differences in preference by urban density, gender, and age. So you can actually go into this survey and actually drill into some of this information. So, for instance, if you want to tap into the buying power I was mentioning a few minutes ago for millennials, they prefer apparel. They're most likely to keep a promotional item rather than give it away, so they like to keep it. They have a more favorable opinion if the advertiser or the logo gift is eco-friendly, so is the gift eco-friendly. And they want to know the story behind the product. Where did it come from and what's the story? So this kind of information at asicentral.com/research can help you reach out to your customers, explain to your customers what's hot and what they might want to know about. Before we close, and again, I'll take questions, in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, there's a box that you can type messages to me and to Paul, and we'll take some questions at the end here if anybody wants to ask any. I want to spend just a couple of minutes on a couple of ASI initiatives I think are really quite important for everyone to know about. We have one underway that is connecting directly between ASI and dozens of top suppliers. This is already completed, like HIT, Magnet, BIC, Sanmar. It allows distributors to see real-time pricing, real-time inventory, order status updates as it's all happening without ever leaving ESP. So as you know, suppliers used to update their information in ESP based on their catalog. Over time, they would give us updates. They would do updates. We are now connected to dozens of top suppliers, so the information in ESP is just as fresh as what's on their website or in their back office systems. And this is really exciting for us. This has given ASIs, we have access to ASI about 20,000 distributors, about 3,000 suppliers. About 70% of the industry product search are going through ASI's platform. So we're in the best position, and we're really excited about this, to extend this connectivity across the industry in this very comprehensive manner available. We're really excited about this initiative. And it really is about reimagining ESP for us. It's really, ESP is really an end-to-end marketing, research, and order processing platform now, connecting the industry like never before. Faster, easier, et cetera. We now have CRM and orders in it. So if you're using a CRM or keep thinking, gosh, I should be using a CRM, what's that mean? How expensive is it? Well, CRM is now built into ESP. And we also have a tool called ESP Orders, so you can actually place orders directly into these suppliers' platforms without ever leaving ESP. Forget about the old days of a PDF attached to an email that gets lost, goes into spam, we don't know what happened. You can actually send a PO directly into the ERP platform of these suppliers without ever having left ESP. So think about that. You can easily add existing contacts to the CRM. You can view all your past conversations by clicking on the profile. You can track all the orders, the quotes, shared presentations, et cetera. Very exciting kinds of things. We think that by managing their daily operations more efficiently, distributors can save about 45 minutes a day from all these efficiencies. That is huge time. You can spend it with your kids. You can talk about it, spending the time selling more, training people, learning about social media, all these things we were talking about. A couple more things that I wanted to sort of touch on that we are providing. We have ASI University, so educational programs. I'm happy to be participating in today's, but we spend about $1.5 million a year toward education, helping members just starting out learn the industry, or help people that have been in the industry for 20 or 30 years get up to speed on all these different changes that are going on. We've certified about 1,600 industry members with a BASI or a MASI. We have about 30,000 people enrolled in this free online university. Every ASI member has access. 350 classes in topics as diverse as business management, sales, social media, corporate gifts, and incentives. So that's all really important, and I urge you to think about that. We're adding lots of new classes in 17, so if you haven't visited the website in a while, you might want to check it out. We also have some exciting new educational updates happening in Orlando, Dallas, and Chicago at our shows. One final thing. Coming up in a couple of our shows, we've got some really good motivational speakers in Orlando and Chicago. Coach Carter, Ken Carter, who probably many of you have heard about. He inspired the movie Coach Carter, starring Samuel L. Jackson, will be in both Orlando and in Chicago for a breakfast keynote. And then in Dallas, we've got the Afterburners, which is really a really cool global group of military fighter pilots. And they're going to talk about flawless execution, how to reach your goals, how to be part of a team, how to overcome threats. So lots of exciting things happening there, and you can visit asishow.com for more information. In closing, I'd like to just share a few words from one of America's most successful entrepreneurs, Henry Ford. I think it sums up really nicely what ASI is all about and what we're all about with all of you. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. We all need to increase sales and work together for all of us to be really more successful. So with that, I'll turn back and invite Paul to join us again. Happy to take questions. I've got a couple of questions up here. One question, and I think, Paul, are you going to join me on this?
Yeah.
Somebody asked me thoughts on printed catalogs versus online. We do a lot of research on this. As you know, ASI creates catalogs that include products from a broad range, sort of like themed catalogs that are created from a broad range of products from many, many suppliers. And then distributors, we imprint the distributor's logo in full color on those catalogs, and then they distribute them or we mail them for them from lists we create or lists they provide to us. We do about I think we probably did about 1.2 or 1.3 million catalogs last year. And of course, there's millions of catalogs produced by suppliers that are distributed to distributors. I think catalogs are extraordinarily important. I think that many people, go into a conversation with a prospect or a client, and they really don't have any material or marketing material that they can bring with them. And so they bring with them a catalog from ASI, a catalog from a supplier, and they use that as sort of a starting off point for a conversation. So if a client says, I'm really interested in apparel, or I'm really interested in what the hottest new products are in the industry, they use an apparel catalog from one of our apparel suppliers. They use the ASI apparel catalog or one of our catalogs, and they can go in and start, going through the process with the client and using that as a conversation starter, as really sort of getting ideas on what people might want to do. And, you give a client or prospect a catalog and give them a little stack of sort of stick'ems and say, just put a sticker on every page you want to talk about, and I'll come back in a week and we'll go through the catalog and see what you highlighted. I think that's great. Certainly there's a way to use digital in all of this world, whether it's a digital catalog or whether it's, doing a presentation in ESP or another tool, and you sort of say, here's the 10 products I want to send to you, and et cetera, or a website. But boy, there's nothing like having, beautiful photos in a catalog that I sort of flip through and can sort of, pinpoint. I think it's also partly the age of the client or the prospect. So long way of saying, I think printed catalogs are here to stay. I think they'll be here in 5 years, 10 years. There's still millions of catalogs produced across our industry and across retail in general. I mean, if you're on the Pottery Barn list or one of these other lists, you're getting catalogs all the time because it drives business. They wouldn't be printing and mailing all those catalogs if they weren't working. So I think our industry needs to not throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, oh, printing catalogs are old-fashioned. They're not old-fashioned at all. They drive real business. As an aside to that, I'll also just give you a little sneak peek since you're on this call. We've long had digital catalogs available on ESP, but we actually have completely revised that entire program. And so for those of you who have ESP or have access to ASI Central as an ASI member, we're relaunching our digital catalog from all the suppliers. So really about all 3,000 suppliers are going to have beautiful new versions of their digital catalogs will be available later this month in sort of a beta, and they'll be rolling it out in the first quarter. So something to really look forward to. Paul, do you have anything you want to add on catalogs?
No, I think you're absolutely right. It is a tangible way of putting something in people's hands. Yes, people do shop online. However, I get Sierra Trading Post and a lot of catalogs that come in the mail and remind me to go to their website, or I'll see a special and it drives traffic. I may end up buying online, but the catalog is still driving that sale.
And what I like, Paul, is I like the context that a catalog provides. So if you're looking at sort of a two-page spread of a catalog that's well designed, and there's 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 products on the page, well, that's one kind of an experience. And I could sort of say, oh yeah, this is a spread about what to have at a company picnic, and there's a picnic basket, and there's Frisbees, and there's all sorts of things there. And as a buyer, I can imagine that entire collection of activity being something I'm interested in. If I'm just looking at a website, I may not I might not search for that. I may search for a picnic basket, but not get all those other things that maybe go with that. So certainly we're all adopting better technology to sort of remind people, if you like this, you probably like this, and so that's important to the technology thing. But I just think there's something really special about that. We have another question here about someone wants to see the Henry Ford quote again, so I'm going to go back to the previous slide. There you go. And then we've got another question here. What do we call what we do? Which is a really good question. The question is really, what words, best describe what we do? Is it advertising specials? Is it promotional products? What are the best kinds of ways to do it? I think partly it depends on your audience. I think that we have shied away from things like swag, but it turns out that millennials think swag is a great word. They love it. They love the idea that they get a gift basket or they get something really cool that's got a merchandise logo on it. It's merchandise with a logo on it, and they think swag is a positive. I think there's people in our industry that are probably in the industry 20 years or 30 years, and they think that's a negative. But boy, I tell you, that's not what people think. When we do surveys, people like the word swag. They think it's a cool thing. They think it's the stuff that you get if you go to the Emmys or the Grammys or the Tony Awards. You get the swag bag. Wow, that's really cool. So I think it's partly what audience you're talking about, and also what's the context. Are you talking about a product? So this is a promotional product or branded merchandise is another way to look at it. or are you talking about what's your marketing problem and how are you trying to drive foot traffic? Well, this could be a booth driver. So it depends on who you're talking about and what they want to do. If they want to drive traffic to their trade show booth, you probably want to talk about, here are 5 booth drivers I want to talk to you about. If you're trying to drive, phone calls to your business, from a sales perspective, well, here's some call drivers. This is merchandise. This is branded merchandise. If you're trying to put it into a company store, maybe it's branded merchandise. So I think it depends on what the audience is and what the outlook is. Paul, do you want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, I think it's very important to remember that nobody buys promotional products. There's no such thing as a promotional products buyer as a title, or I haven't seen one in the last 20 years. People buy solutions to problems. They buy increased traffic at a trade show. They increase reactivating dormant accounts. They buy improving their retention. Those are the things they buy. But to Tim's point, what does your client call it? I used to cringe to the word swag, but I had a buyer at a major cereal company who would call me up and say, Paul, it's time to order swag for the national sales meeting. And it was a 6-figure order. And I was like, call it whatever you like, just keep calling me. But
you're like, call me Paul Swag. Is that what you said?
Exactly. So really listen carefully to what your clients are saying and use it back to them. If they're calling it swag, feel free to call it swag. And as Tim mentioned, particularly among the younger generation, that's a good word.
Another quick question here from someone saying, when talking to existing companies, I hear that they already have someone who they're already working with or that they do it themselves. Can you explain a few ways to continue the conversation and how to follow up on these companies? So there's 2 parts to this, right? One is they already have someone they're working with, so they're already working with a distributor. The way I would have that conversation is I would say, okay, what are the things that distributor is doing well for you? And what are the things that distributor, really could be doing better for you? And is that distributor working with you on every kind of program? Are they working with you on a safety program? Are they working with you on an employee retention, an employee reward program? Are they working on a booth driver program if you go to trade show booths? How are you using promotional products? Are there ways that you're not using promotional products you'd like to use promotional products? So I'm sort of a question guy. I really like to ask questions and sort of make them open-ended and give that person a chance to talk. Okay, it's great that you're working with somebody. I don't want to dislodge that relationship. Are there things that you'd like to have better in that relationship, or are there ways that I can sort of find a little vein of money and opportunity, that maybe that other distributor isn't taking advantage of? You're already working with somebody, and if I'm talking to somebody in HR, and you're already working with somebody who's doing great work for you as a distributor, that's great. Are there other departments in your organization? Could you do an introduction to me, to your to the sales people? Are there other departments that maybe aren't using promotional products that maybe should be using promotional products? So I sort of ask for those kind of referral things. I sort of would ask open-ended questions, look for them to say, there is one thing they don't do well for me. They don't do this. And by the way, at the end of the whole conversation, I would make sure I never say anything negative about the other company, because nobody wants to have somebody who's saying bad things about somebody they're already doing business with, because that just sounds, not really very nice. And secondly, I would keep following up. I really never, ever, ever give up. And I think that's something that people too frequently do. Especially if you found somebody who, is buying promotional products and acknowledges they're buying promotional products, whether they're doing it themselves or whether they're using another distributor. Well, here's money that's being spent. Follow up in a month, 2 months. Send them a couple of promotional products, over the course of the year that are new ideas that maybe their existing distributor relationship hasn't shown them. You go to a trade show, send them an email that says, here's a couple of photos I just took of some promotional products at the trade show I'm at ASI Chicago. Are these things you've seen before? These are hot new things and make sure they're contextually appropriate. Are they right for the business? Are they right for what that company does? So I would really try to, not give up, especially if you found out somebody's spending money on promotional products, but try to do what the other distributors doing better. Don't try to do anything that makes our industry sound like we're, backbiting or, trying to get the cheapest price. Those things are not really very effective in the long term. Paul, do you want to add anything to that?
That's a good recap. The thing is, when you're calling on new companies, you're really looking for a job, and so do your research on them. Put in a Google alerts on them. Find out what's going on in their industry. Send them relevant information. Both ASI and PPAI have great research on the power of promotional products. That could be some things that they've never seen before. As long as it's relevant to their industry and the type of problems they're trying to solve, you'll have an opportunity to speak to them, but they want to hear what's relevant to them. And also, to Tim's point, never give up. Anyone who's heard me speak knows it took me 19 years to get a client, one particular client. But in the next 10 years, they did over $2 million worth of business with me every year for those 10 years. So was it worth it? I'm glad I didn't give up. I think the statistic is it takes 12 contacts for to make the first sale, and people give up after the third call. So, as Tim said, never ever give up.
And another point I would make on this, which is sort of a different question, but I'll sort of answer it anyway, which is the other thing to do is don't forget your existing customers and don't take them for granted. There is nothing worse to me than somebody who thinks I've gotten the same order for the last 5 years. That order is not going to go to anybody else. It's got to come to me because I've had it for 5 years and 6 years. Don't forget those customers. Thank them. A very simple thank you. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be outrageously detailed. Whether it's, get into a habit of thanking them in whatever way is appropriate. Whether it's just, every time you get an order from somebody, you just send them a very quick little thank you note. Thank you very much for your business. I really appreciate it with your business card in it. Please pass my business card to somebody else who might want to do business with me. Put your business card in, just mail that off to people. You'd be surprised how just a handwritten thank you note, which is almost unheard of in our society today, can really make an impact. And just insert your little business card and say, please give my business card to somebody else you think might want to do business with me. That referral business is great. So it's wonderful to go after these new people and these new businesses, but I think often we forget about the existing business we have and then asking for that referral. Asking for the referral is a really big deal. A couple of other quick questions, Paul, before I sort of give up my breath here. One, somebody's asking about the digital catalogs I mentioned. Yes, we've had for a long time something called ACE in ESP Online. This is a replacement to ACE in ESP Online, but so much better, I can't even tell you how excited I am, honest to God. Really great. And also it's going to be in ESP Web. So you'll have complete digital catalogs for all the ASI suppliers. So like 3,000 suppliers, full catalogs in ESP Online, ESP Web. And here's a really cool little thing it's a little bit of a, peek under the tent, so to speak. In addition to beautiful flip books, just like you'd expect a digital catalog to be, for every page on the right-hand side, there's going to be links to each of those products in ESP, so you can actually create a PO or a presentation directly from the digital catalog. So you don't have to sort of go back and forth between something. You're on a page that's got like 15 products on it. All those 15 products are going to be listed on the right-hand side of the screen, and you'll be able to click them off and say, okay, this one, this one, this one. I'm going to click off 3, hit a button, you'll be able to create a presentation immediately. You can send it off to a client. Very cool, very hot thing. I'm really excited about that. And then somebody else asked down here, and that, by the way, was our friend from Williams. The new administration, okay. The new administration, boy, what do I see happening in the new administration affecting our industry in the next 4 years? I have no idea what's going to happen. And anybody who tells you that they know what's going to happen is lying to you. I would say a few trends to look for. One, international trade. There's been a lot said in the campaign by both the president-elect and also Hillary Clinton about international trade. And I think that we should watch very carefully what they're talking about doing and what they actually start doing on international trade. It can have a huge impact on our industry. No one should forget the fact that 90% of our products are imported from outside the United States, most from Asia. If we get into a trade war with Asia or get into some sort of a tariff war with China, we need to be we need to be way out in front of that as an industry. We need to really be lobbying. We do not want to have a 40% tariff put on every product coming out of China, which is one of the campaign things that was mentioned in the campaign. We do that. Think about it, every product getting 40% more expensive to suppliers. I mean, I frankly don't know what we would all do. So we all got to be in it. We got to be listening for it, and we've got to really be making sure that it's positive for us. On the other hand, there's some things that are probably going to happen that are different and more positive, perhaps, in the industry. For instance, clearly there's been a lot of discussion about taxes and lowering taxes. So, we've got a lot of entrepreneurs here that are private business people, and some of the people on the call, in our industry are going to have lower taxes because taxes are being talked about going down. So that's that's another outcome that's maybe a little bit more positive than this fear factor I have over here on the prices going up. The other thing is there's a lot of discussion about minimum wages, who qualifies for hourly versus salary, et cetera. That seems to be much more likely to be more liberal, so to speak, in this administration than it would have been in a Clinton administration or has been an Obama administration. So maybe less likely higher federal minimum wages that might help suppliers and distributors trying to manage their labor costs. We'll see what happens. And finally, on Obamacare, certainly there's a lot of people in America, 25 million or so, that are covered by Obamacare, probably some in our industry because they're entrepreneurs working from their home and they didn't have access to health care easily before. So that's an area where we just have to watch and see what's going to replace it, how's it going to modify, because people need to have health care and are very concerned about that. So those are three things that I would just say, here's the things to look for: trade and what's going to happen, taxes and what's going to happen, and third, healthcare and what's it mean for the people that are in our industry who are independent and don't have access to big corporate kinds of healthcare programs that might otherwise be available. Paul, anything else you want to say before we wrap up? I know we're at the end of our hour, and I've really enjoyed being here.
Tim, I really appreciate you giving us your time and your expertise and your look at what the future's looking for the industry. We certainly have. I think we've got a bright future in this industry. We are the high touch counterpoint in the high tech world, and there's a lot of things that are going in our favor as we grow as a media. And I appreciate all that you do to keep this industry growing and healthy. And would like to thank everyone for tuning in today. As I mentioned, this is being recorded and will be available on the MIPA Facebook page if you'd like to review it. Tim, thank you so much, and everyone else, happy holidays, and look forward to speaking with you again next year with Wild Wednesday webinars. Thanks so much.
Happy holidays.